Hi everyone, this is Dan. I just wanted to share a design process that when I'm using Fusion 360, you get a lot of potential products that have failures inherently built into the first or second iteration, and you have to design those out as you go. And I've taken a step in my design process to try to design out failure for some of my initial products so that I can use them even when they fail, the first or second step of the design process. So right here, someone on Maker World designed this plate that is meant to interface with the IKEA SCADIS board. And what it does is it holds the AMS light from a Bamboo series AMS I have printed or mounted up here. And it's really high up. This is above my head height on this rack. So because of that, I would like to get it a little bit closer to where I can really reach it and change the filament out a little better without so much hassle. So my plan was to use this mount and a SCADIS plate and mount it to the side of my rack that's actually holding my printer. So I already have designed other things that mount in the holes on. This is a Husky rack from Home Depot. I don't know that they are all interchangeable, but this works specifically on the Husky and the Costco racking systems. I'm guessing most of them are universal as far as these side mounts go. I know they're not universal on the front mounts, and I'm working on getting this situated. I would, in the future, like to have this mounted here. But what I've done is I mounted these brackets on the back, or these tabs on the back, to interface with the holes. They're nice and tight. They drop in place. And good, positive, firm fit. Good hold. I can shake the whole rack with it. But my first one that I put on, as you can see, doesn't have those tabs anymore, because when I put it on, I kind of put it in place and pulled it down really hard and broke the top tab right off. It wasn't really seated in place, and by jerking on it, it was in this square still, and it broke. So, oh well, I lost it. But what I know is, through my many designs of mounting other 3D printed parts on wooden posts, I know how to countersink and get these screw holes perfectly built for screws that I frequently use. So I decided I was going to go ahead and throw a couple of screw holes in this part just in case it didn't work out for me, or if this particular shape becomes too hard for me to 3D model, I could just drill a hole and countersink my screws into this metal bracket and it would still work here. And then in which case I can take the SCADIS mount, drop it in place, put in the second side. Whoops. I can put on the second side of the bracket and mount my AMS light right here in front of my 3D printer. And I'm hoping that's going to make it a little bit easier to access my filaments. What I would really like to do is have this mounted out front, like I was saying, get it mounted on this face here so that I can still have full access to the 3D printer plate, but then have full access to the AMS light sitting right here in front of me, right at head level. Easy to change things out. It'll just, much better adaptation for my needs than having it way up there. This is my full reach. In order to do this, I actually have to unsnap it from the back, pull the whole thing down, change out my filament, put it back up there, or get a step stool. But there's some other things in front of my 3D printer rack here that make that challenging. So I think moving the rack out to the side is going to be my best solution. So that's what I'm working on. I'm going to do that tonight, and hopefully it's going to be a win. But like I said, I just wanted to show off the process of how I didn't let this part become a piece of garbage and a failure that's going to get thrown away. I can now still mount this into a stud on the wall back here and have it in the back, or have it in the side between my two racks where I'm storing filament, and I can still make use of this rack or this part on a rack or on a wall stud or just in some other part of my shop altogether. I might even mount it. I do have this big toolbox here, and I like to mount things to the side of it, so I might even just mount this to the side with a couple metal tap screws and have something over there that I might use this for. So I don't like designing parts and finding out they didn't work and then having to throw them away. And I know that this Scatus board, I designed that part well enough that it worked. I knew that was going to work well. I didn't know that my tabs were going to be strong enough or not. I made 3 of these. Only one of the 3 has broken, and like I said, I didn't get it fully seated, so the metal part was sitting in here and I pulled down on it, and I think that upward pressure was just enough to break that off. But when you look here at this part, you can see that it was a full embedded part with internal supports coming through it. I think I might be able to do that better in the future by making it a heavier support. This is really, you can see there's a lot of space in there. I might do like a 20% rectilinear that would give it more meat in there, or just try to make it a full solid piece and see if that works better. This one I broke off on my own just so I could get it to lay flat. So when I wasn't going to have a piece sticking up. So that bottom one was actually pretty tough to break off. So I think yanking on it as hard as I did, a lot of force caused that to break prematurely. Well, thanks for watching. And when you start doing your own design on your parts, just try to think about how can you design potential failure out of your part. So by removing these tabs, if I wasn't 100% certain that these were going to hold, so that's why I added these holes, knowing that this would be a 100% successful print. Even if the tabs failed, I can use this elsewhere in my shop or on my property. Thanks for watching, guys.